Discover the incredible, touching ways people heated their homes during 8 harsh medieval winters. Amelia stood at the window, watching the relentless snow swirl in frantic dance. The winter had settled deep into Maplewood, like an unwanted guest, icy fingers probing into every crevice of her aging farmhouse. As a widow in her late 30s, the weight of her small family rested heavy on her shoulders. The diner was bustling that morning, the scent of fresh coffee and warm pancakes mingling with the chill in the air, and she was grateful for the work. Yet exhaustion clung to her like the cold clung to the town's rooftops, a constant reminder of her dwindling resources. Every day she served hot meals to people who were oblivious to her struggles. In the back of her mind, images of her late husband danced like shadows, pushing her to keep moving forward. He would have wanted her to be strong. Meanwhile, Jake, her teenage son, struggled with the harsh realities of their new life. She could see the worry etched on his brow, even through his brave attempts at cheerfulness. Each chuckle felt like an emotional band-aid, covering up his unease. But the town itself was changing. Those who had more began to hoard supplies, creating divides Amelia had never noticed before. She exchanged glances with her neighbors, wary of the subtle changes in their expressions, the whispers that stretched and twisted the love that once connected them. Jealousy seeped into their community like an uninvited draft. The bond of neighborly love began to fracture, strained by an unwelcome coldness. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. It was then that Jake discovered Mr. Callahan, the local war veteran, a man who'd fought for more than just his country, shivering in the dark of his own home. This was not just a neighbor, this was a man who saved lives, shoulders burdened with the weight of memories he couldn't shake. Anger bubbled in Jake's chest as he learned the truth. How could they overlook someone who once fought against fear itself? It ignited a flame within him, a glimmer of justice struggling to surpass the shadows of complacency. That evening, a town meeting pushed nerves to the forefront. Faces flushed with shame or defiance. The air crackled like the winter wind outside. Jake took to the floor, a boy transformed into a voice of reason. His plea echoed off the old wooden walls, calling for compassion and equity. "We're losing what makes us a community," he exclaimed, heart pounding with urgency. As he spoke, Amelia felt tears prick her eyes. Here was her son, rising with the same resilience their family cherished, the very spirit she needed to remind herself of. Suddenly, with sirens of winter swirling outside, the power cut out. A snowstorm swept in, locking them all together in the dim glow of the community center. Fear and warmth clashed as neighbors huddled close, holding space for voices that had been silenced. Wrapping their frail ties of humanity deeper, they faced a choice. Will the old shadows win, or will they stand for unity against the cold? Just as they began to breathe in hope, a knock echoed through the center. An unexpected visitor, a ghost from their past, stood waiting on the threshold. Would they hold the warmth of their newfound resolve, or would past grievances threaten to snuff out the flickering hope they had just ignited? The heavy door creaked open, and in walked Evelyn, a woman Amelia thought had vanished into the depths of the past. She used to be so vibrant, her laughter echoing off the walls of the diner. But life had taken its toll. Her clothes were tattered, her face lined with hardships Amelia couldn't help but feel mirrored her own. The room's atmosphere shifted. It was as if a winter breeze had swept in, carrying with it old wounds and buried resentments. "Evelyn," Amelia breathed, a mixture of surprise and hesitation lacing her voice. The townsfolk turned towards the newcomer, faces tightening into masks of uncertainty. This was a town that thrived on familiarity, on history interwoven with hope.
but all that was now muddied with the gripping frost of mistrust. Jake stepped closer to his mother, concern knitted into his young brow. He was caught between loyalty to his family and the weight of history pushing against them. "What are you doing here?" he questioned, his tone caught somewhere between curiosity and defense. Evelyn glanced around, eyes lingering on the familiar faces as she spoke. "I heard the meeting about Mr. Callahan. I thought you all should know I was in a similar situation." Her voice cracked. "I didn't come to cause trouble. I came because I need help." Amelia's heart sank. How many times had she felt those very words clinging to her lips, terrified to utter them aloud? The desperation in Evelyn's eyes echoed far beyond their shared memories. The room fell silent, the flickering lights emphasizing the tension hanging thick like a winter fog enveloping them. Someone from the back muttered, "Why should we help now? You turned your back on us long ago." A chorus of nods rippled through a few, as whispers grew sharper with doubt. "Stop," Jake interjected, his voice more confident now. "We're not just going to turn her away. If we've learned anything tonight, it's that we need each other more than ever." The power of his words broke the stony silence. Eyes shifted, heart stirred. Amelia felt a flicker of hope spark within her.
Jake's courage was infectious, urging people towards a collective warmth they had so desperately needed. "Evelyn, if you need a place," Amelia began, only to be cut off by Evelyn's desperate nod. I just need food, a little warmth, anything. I haven't eaten properly in days." A tear slipped down Evelyn's cheek, a testament to the struggle that echoed in a community once filled with laughter and unity. The town was at a crossroads. Memories of shared meals and long chats around the fire struggled against the hostility built up over years. Amelia turned to look around the room. The faces of her neighbors, once friends, now reflected uncertainty, but also compassion struggling to take root. "Let's not just focus on our differences," Amelia said steadily. "Let's remember who we were before this winter divided us." As she spoke, warmth thawed the chill that settled in her heart. "Evelyn, you can stay with us. Let's share what we have." A few heads nodded in agreement. Jake's eyes shone as he flicked his gaze between his mother and their long-lost friend. For the first time in a while, Amelia could feel change bubbling beneath the surface, a chance for healing. As they started to gather supplies and support for Evelyn, laughter began to rise again, tentative but promising, like the first patches of grass peeking through the melting snow. But just as they began to reconstruct their bonds, another frantic knocking broke through their warmth. A more urgent, desperate sound this time, louder and more insistent than before. What awaited them on the other side of that door? Another unexpected visitor, or something more troubling? Would their fragile bonds hold against the new storm brewing outside? Evelyn's newfound warmth hung in the air, a fragile thread connecting the townsfolk. The unmistakable sound of knocking reverberated in the room, pulling everyone back to reality. It was frantic, insistent, each thud a plea that felt like it belonged to a different world. Amelia's heart raced. She exchanged worried glances with Jake, whose expression was a mix of fear and curiosity. The laughter they had just shared felt like it belonged to another lifetime, suddenly overshadowed by this urgent interruption. The room fell silent, a cacophony of emotions threading through their collective uncertainty. The knocking continued, growing louder. It heralded a sense of dread that lurked just beyond the threshold. What could possibly await them? The lingering shadows of their past, or an unforeseen challenge that would test their fragile unity? The questions flooded Amelia's mind, each one heavier than the last. "Should someone answer it?" Jake whispered, hesitating near the door. His youthful confidence from just moments ago flickered like a candle in a draft. With a deep breath, Amelia nodded. "I'll go. Everyone stay here." But as she walked toward the door, her heart pounded with each step.
Would it be someone seeking help, like Evelyn? Or would it be the past reaching for them again, resurrecting old grievances buried beneath layers of ice? She took hold of the doorknob, bracing herself, while
Others held their breaths. With a sturdy motion, she swung the door open, revealing a boy, no older than Jake, with wild hair and a fear-stricken face. "Please," the boy gasped, his voice breaking as his eyes darted between Amelia and the gathered townsfolk. "My sister, she's hurt. We need help." Murmurs filled the room, a whirlwind of anxiety sweeping through them. Jake instinctively stepped forward, his protective nature kicking in. What happened? The boy swallowed hard, glancing over his shoulder as if the shadows themselves threatened to invade their space. The old bridge collapsed. She fell. "Please, you have to come." His eyes, wide with panic, tugged at Amelia's heart. "Amelia," Jake said softly, worry etched across his features. "We can't just leave. What if it's a trap?" But the boy's urgency pierced through Jake's uncertainty. Amelia felt tears prick her eyes. They had been hesitant to welcome Evelyn back into their lives, yet here was a chance to extend a hand, to show that compassion hadn't vanished completely. "Let's go, Jake," she urged, placing a hand on his shoulder. His resistance melted away, replaced by resolve. "We're stronger together." Evelyn stepped forward, surprising them all. "I'll come too. We can help him." Amelia nodded, gratitude swelling within her. It was a chance for them to rise above their divided histories, a moment that could redefine who they were as a community. As they gathered supplies, a crate of bandages, some water, a handful of flashlights, they could all feel a slightly altered atmosphere. Laughter might still be just beyond the reach of their grasp, its edges frayed, but here was an opportunity to mend something more urgent. The four of them, a group formed just moments ago, set off into the cold night. A chill swept through the air, but a flicker of warmth ignited within them. Each footstep echoed against the ground, moving towards the unknown. What awaited them on the path ahead? Would they find the child in desperate need, and would it test the bonds they'd just begun to fortify? Or could this be the moment that would draw the lines of division further apart? The dark path loomed ahead, guiding them into uncertainty, where hope clung to the edges like a thin veil. The cold air bit at their skin, a stark reminder of the darkness surrounding them. Each step along the gravel path felt heavier than the last, as if the weight of their collective fears was tethering them to the earth. Jake walked close to Amelia, his presence both comforting and protective, while Evelyn eyed their surroundings, her expression serious. "Do you think she's okay?" Jake asked, a tremor in his voice. The concern etched in his young features brought a sense of fragility to their mission. Amelia shook her head slowly, struggling to suppress the swell of emotions threatening to overflow. "We need to think positive. She's gotta be all right. We just have to get there in time." The boy had led them a short distance from the town when he suddenly stopped. Turned to face them, his breathing heavy. "It's just up ahead," he said, his gaze shifting towards the dark outline of the collapsed bridge looming in the distance. "I can't do this alone." "Hey," Evelyn interrupted gently, stepping closer to him. "You're stronger than you know. We're right here with you." As they drew near the bridge, the atmosphere shifted. The faint sound of water rushing beneath the timbers was almost drowned out by a heavy silence that settled around them. The bridge was a wreck, a mangled piece of wood, splintered and twisted, a monument to chaos. Amelia closed her eyes, trying to picture the scene the boy had described, but dread settled in her stomach instead. "Where exactly is she?" she asked, heart racing. "Under the bridge, but I can't see if she's hurt or alive." He ran a shaky hand through his hair, eyes wide with fear. "I'm too scared to go close. I thought you'd know what to do." The urgency weighed heavily on them all. Together they cut through the darkness toward the edge, each step heavier than the last. As they approached, the sight of the bridge's collapsed structure left them speechless, yet fueled by purpose. "Let's split up," Jake suggested. "We can cover more ground that way." Amelia nodded, relief flooding her. Okay, I'll go with you, and Evelyn can stay with the boy. She tried to lighten the mood, meeting Evelyn's eyes, a silent plea for reassurance. Stay close, Evelyn called to them as they moved, her voice steady yet laced with worry. She wrapped an arm around the boy's shoulder, grounding him. The darkness was suffocating, but with their flashlights piercing through, they began to feel a rhythm again. Each beam of light offered a flicker of hope, a lifeline against despair. Suddenly, Jake stopped and pointed toward a faint sound. Did you hear that? It came from over there. Heart pounding, Amelia hurried to his side. The sound grew clearer, a faint moan echoing against the jagged remains of the bridge. With urgency erupting within her, she gestured for Jake to follow her as they rushed forward. Just as they reached the edge of the wreckage, something moved in the shadows. Hello? Jake called out cautiously, the beam of light illuminating the area where something lay hidden beneath the debris. In that moment, everything hung in the balance. Would they find the girl in need of their help, or something darker lurking within the remnants of a broken past? Amelia's heart hammered in her chest. Hope and fear danced dangerously close together. Amelia, what if? Jake's voice cracked, echoing their shared terror. But before he could finish, a small figure began to emerge from the shadows. Help, came a whisper, carrying both fragility and desperation. Amelia's breath caught in her throat. Would this be the beginning of their healing, or the moment everything shattered once more? Amelia's heart raced as the figure crawled into the beam of their flashlights. It was a girl, small and frail, tangled in shadows and debris. Her clothes were tattered, her hair matted with mud, and her wide eyes glistened with fear. "Please, help me," she rasped again, her voice barely above a whisper. Jake instinctively took a step forward, but Amelia held him back, sensing the urgency of the moment. "Wait," she said softly, kneeling down to meet the girl's terrified gaze. "We're here to help you. What's your name?" The girl hesitated, her gaze darting nervously between them. "Lily," she finally managed, her voice trembling like a leaf caught in a breeze. "I fell. I didn't mean to." "It's okay, Lily," Amelia said, trying to keep her tone steady and warm. "We'll get you out from under there." Her instincts kicked in, and she quickly scanned the crumbling wood for a way to reach her without causing further collapse. "Jake, we need to clear some of this away, but we have to be careful." Jake nodded, his young face set with determination. Together, they began to pull away the smaller pieces of rubble, careful not to create a landslide that could endanger them further. As they worked, Amelia could see fear etched on Lily's face, and she felt a surge of empathy. This girl was just like them, lost in a moment of chaos. "Stay with us, Lily. Just focus on my voice," Amelia encouraged, her hands shaking slightly as they moved the debris. The tension of the moment pressed around them, each sound amplified. The rattle of wood, the quiet rush of water below, the beating of their hearts. With each chunk of wood they removed, Lily grew slightly more visible. The shadows that danced around her began to lift, and Amelia caught glimpses of bruises marking her pale skin. "Are you hurt?" Jake asked, concern lining his young voice as they finally managed to create a small opening. "Just a little," Lily replied, her breath hitching. "I didn't know what to do. I thought I was alone." A lump formed in Amelia's throat. "You're not alone anymore. We're here." Just as they managed to shift the last of the wreckage, a louder crack echoed, startling them all. The remnants of the bridge groaned ominously underfoot as another beam shifted dangerously. They looked at each other, panic stirring anew. "Jake," Amelia called out, urgency rushing through her. "Help me pull her." Together, they stretched out their hands, hoping to give Lily the strength she needed to get free. With every ounce of their combined force, they wrapped their fingers around Lily's thin arms. "On three," Amelia shouted. "1, 2, 3." With a final heave, they pulled, and Lily stumbled into their embrace. Jake looked down at the small, helpless girl, and the moment was heavy with wonder. How they had all found themselves here, tangled in darkness, yet united in this fragile hope.
"Let's get you out of here, okay?" Amelia whispered, feeling the warmth of the girl's small body against her own. The fear that had once been so suffocating seemed to lift, even
if just for a moment. But then a shadow moved among the wreckage. A figure loomed behind them, dark and indistinct, and just as Jake stepped forward, ready to shield them, the air shifted once more. "Who's that?" Evelyn's voice sliced through the tension, her footsteps crunching over gravel as she approached, eyes wide with alarm. "Are you all right?" Amelia didn't answer. She could only stare into the shadow, her heart racing, realizing their fight for survival might have just begun. What they had discovered was only the beginning of a deeper mystery, and maybe something much more dangerous. The shadow stirred again, sending a shiver down Amelia's spine. She felt trapped, cornered between the wreckage that had fallen and the figure looming in the darkness. Heart pounding, she squinted, trying to discern what or who was there. "Evelyn," she finally managed to say, though she wasn't quite sure if she was grateful or terrified to see her. It's okay. We found Lily." Evelyn's brow furrowed, searching the dim area. "Where?" Her voice was a tight whisper now, the reality of the situation washing over her like ice water. "Right here," Jake said, drawing closer to Lily, who was now leaning against Amelia, quaking slightly as she finally began to process the chaos around her. The lights from the flashlights cut through the misty darkness, illuminating Lily's face, which had drained of color. But the figure in the shadows hadn't stirred closer. Instead, it simply stood there, quiet and still, watching them. Amelia felt every muscle tense as she kept her gaze fixed on it. "Who are you?" Evelyn demanded, her own fear morphing into an edge of authority. The figure shifted again, its outline becoming clearer. It took a step forward, the jerky movement sending a rush of adrenaline through Amelia. The beam of Jake's flashlight revealed a weathered face framed by wild hair, an old man, weary and haunted, yet somehow familiar. "Help!" the stranger rasped, voice thin and raspy. I lost my way." "What do you mean?" Amelia pressed, still assessing the situation. She could feel the urgency of getting Lily to safety, but there was something unsettling about this man. "I was part of the search party," he explained, "looking for anyone who might have survived." He paused, swallowing hard, and glanced down at Lily. "I didn't know anyone else was trapped." In that moment, Lily looked up at Amelia, her big eyes filled with a mixture of fear and confusion. "We need to get out of here," she said firmly, addressing both Jake and Evelyn. "This place isn't safe." The man took a step closer, desperation creeping into his voice. "Please, you don't understand. There are dangers that lie ahead, something worse than this." "What do you mean?" Evelyn asked, her voice rising. "What do we need to be afraid of?" The old man steadied himself, visibly struggling with every breath. "Something is hunting us out there. It's not just the fallen bridge. It follows the lost ones." Amelia felt her stomach twist. "Lost ones?" she echoed, confusion mingling with dread. "Yes, those who wander too far. I've seen it," the man continued. The shadows seemed to deepen around him as he spoke. "It's not merely a storm at your back. It's something else." Jake tugged on Amelia's shirt, eyes wide. "What does he mean? Are we going to be hunted?" "No." Amelia squeezed his hand, trying to maintain her composure. They had to stay together. "We're not lost. We're together. We'll make it back." But as she said those words, she couldn't shake the feeling that the old man might be right. The air felt thicker, like shadows were gathering, closing in on them from all sides. The ground beneath her feet seemed to pulse with an energy she couldn't comprehend. "Guys, we need to move." Evelyn's voice trembled slightly, her gaze darting around as if searching for something lurking in the dark. As they turned, the sound of cracking branches echoed from the distance, and Amelia froze. Her heart raced faster, pounding in her ears as a chill crept up her spine. "Run!" she shouted,
And with that, they all sprinted toward the fading light, the shadows chasing closely behind, a hidden terror coiling in the darkness. What had they awakened, and would they escape before it found them? Amelia stumbled forward, pulling Jake behind her as they darted between the fallen beams and twisted metal. The light from their flashlights flickered erratically, casting errant shadows that danced madly on the walls of gloom. Each step was a race against an unseen force, something lurking just beyond their sight. "Stay close," Evelyn shouted, glancing over her shoulder. The old man had fallen behind, struggling to keep pace. "We can't leave him." "He can't be trusted," Amelia protested. Her heart felt heavy with each word. Every instinct screamed to leave him behind. The darkness nipped at their heels. "We have to focus on getting out." But something deep inside, gnawing at her conscience, whispered that they couldn't abandon a fellow survivor. A part of her felt responsible. If he was telling the truth, if there really was something hunting them, they might need every set of eyes. They skidded to a halt, panting and scanning the debris for a way out. Chaos and confusion reigned as the old man caught up, his breath ragged, anguish etched on his face. "We need to find shelter," he rasped, desperation lacing his words. "They won't let us go easily." "What are you talking about?" Jake asked, small and frightened. The old man pressed on. "You don't understand. It's like the darkness has a mind of its own. It watches, waiting for the right moment to strike." Amelia felt the hairs stand up on her arms. She could feel it, something watching. It wasn't just his words. It was the fear in the air, palpable and suffocating. "We can't stay here," Evelyn urged, gripping Amelia's arm tightly, eyes darting around. "We have to move, now!" Without another word, Amelia nodded, locking eyes with Jake. They had to trust each other, fight together, even if fear threatened to tear them apart. In that moment of silent solidarity, they pushed onward, weaving through the wreckage, hearts racing in unified rhythm. They moved as a single unit, abandoning the old man who stumbled behind them. But as they ran, a terrible shriek split the air. Amelia froze mid-step, the sound piercing through the surrounding shadows like a knife. It was a cry of desperation, a sound that clawed at her heart and twisted her stomach. "No!" the man shouted, and Amelia turned in horror, looking back. He had stopped, rooted in place, as something unfurling from the darkness drew closer. The shape was monstrous, shifting and crawling toward him. "Run!" he yelled, panic lacing his voice. But it was too late. The shadows spiraled around him, and in a flash he was snatched away, swallowed without a trace. Tears pricked at the corners of Amelia's eyes. She wanted to scream, to call out for him, to save him. But the instinct to survive overpowered her sorrow. "Go!" Evelyn shouted, breaking the trance, her eyes locked firmly on the glowing exit ahead. They bolted once more into the fog, each footfall pounding in sync with their racing hearts. In her mind, a question twisted like a thorn. What had they awakened? What hunted the lost ones? They dashed toward the light, but behind them, muffled whispers began to rise, swirling around them like a dark tempest. "Amelia!" Jake cried, his small voice breaking through the noise. "What was that?" I don't know." She had to keep him safe. That was all that mattered now. But just as the light began to grow brighter, they hit an impasse, an enormous pile of debris blocking their path. Frantically searching for an escape route, Amelia felt the shadows inching closer, dark tendrils reaching out to claim them. "Help!" she yelled, panic spilling over as she felt the desperate grip of fear take hold of her. Would they be snatched away like the man? Would they be lost forever? Then a soft glow flickered to the side. A cave, half hidden behind the rubble. Could they find solace there, or was it another trap? The shadows were closing in, and there was no time to lose. "Quick, this way!" she urged, her voice determined as she dashed toward the opening, hoping beyond hope it would lead them to safety. Would they find refuge, or was this just another path into darkness? They squeezed through the narrow opening into the cave, their hearts pounding like thunder. The air was cooler inside, tinged with the scent of damp earth and something else, something earthy and ancient. The glow was brighter now, illuminating the rough walls as they moved deeper into the cave. "Is it safe?" Jake breathed, glancing nervously at Amelia, his small face framed by shadow. She could see the fear shimmering in his eyes, but she
forced a smile. "Let's hope so," she said. "We need to catch our breath." Evelyn shuffled beside them, keeping vigil at the entrance with her back pressed against the stone. "We can't stay here long," she whispered. "The darkness, it knows we're near." Amelia nodded, her mind racing. They needed to think, but the shriek of the old man echoed in her ears, a haunting reminder of their brush with despair. "What was that creature?" she whispered, hardly believing the question as it escaped her lips. "I don't know," Evelyn replied, her voice trembling. "But I can't shake this feeling. It's feeding off our fear. It thrives in darkness." Amelia swallowed hard, recalling the way the shadows twisted around the old man like predators circling their prey. Were they somehow doing the same thing, succumbing to the crippling weight of terror? Jake clung to Amelia's arm, his grip tight. "What if it comes in here? What if it finds us?" His voice was barely a whisper, yet charged with raw panic. "We won't let it," Amelia said, trying to keep her own fear at bay. "We just need to stick together." As they settled against the stone wall, the flickering light revealed etchings on the cave walls, strange symbols that resembled eyes, all different sizes and shapes. They seemed to follow Amelia, shifting as she moved, and a cold shiver gripped her spine. This wasn't just a hiding place, it was something more. A warning? A sign? "What do you think they mean?" she asked, though part of her feared the answer. Evelyn stepped closer, tracing the lines with her fingers. "Eyes. It's like they're watching us. Maybe they're marked to keep something at bay? Or to lure it in," Jake added fearfully. The implication sent a chill through Amelia. What kind of twisted magic could be at play in this place? Suddenly, a rumble echoed from deep inside the cave. Amelia stiffened, exchanging looks with Evelyn and Jake. They held their breath, straining to hear. Was that the darkness stirring? The rumble grew louder, sounding like a freight train barreling toward them. Panic hit Amelia like a tidal wave. "We can't stay here," she shouted, reaching for Jake. "We have to find another way out." Before they could move, the wall of stone before them shifted. A doorway, hidden in shadows, swung slowly open, revealing a deeper darkness beyond. A soft, beckoning light pulsed from within like a heartbeat. It's leading us somewhere," Evelyn whispered in awe, the terror ebbing for a moment. "Or drawing us into a trap," Amelia cautioned, her heart racing. The voices from outside swelled, whispering her name, pulling at her sanity. With a quick glance back at the entrance, the shadow still looming, waiting, she took a step toward the doorway. "We have to decide. Go into the light or back out into the darkness," she pleaded, her eyes darting between Jake and Evelyn. The light pulsed again, more persistently now, almost as if it could sense their indecision. One step deeper in could mean salvation or doom. Maybe we can "Find answers inside," Evelyn suggested, her curiosity battling with fear. Amelia hesitated, caught in a storm of emotion. Could they take the risk? "Together?" Jake asked, glancing back between the realms of light and shadow, his small hand clutching tighter to Amelia's. "Together," she confirmed, and with that, all three moved forward into the pulsing light, not knowing what awaited them inside. Would it lead them to freedom or something far worse? The heartbeat of the cave echoed in rhythm with the racing of their hearts as they stepped into the unknown. The moment they crossed the threshold, the warmth of the glow enveloped them, wrapping around their skin like a soft blanket. It felt confusing, a stark contrast to the chill that had settled deep in their bones just moments before.
The darkness was behind them now, but they couldn't shake the feeling that something was still lurking close by. Ahead, the cavern expanded into a vast chamber, and the air shifted, filled with a strange mix of familiarity and alien mystery. Stalactites hung like teardrops from the ceiling, shimmering with the same pulsating light they had followed. It cast intricate shadows that danced across the walls, which were adorned with even more symbols, spirals, arrows, and those eyes, watching, never blinking. "Is this a place of safety?" Amelia murmured, her voice echoing slightly in the stillness. She felt a flicker of hope mingled with anxiety. "The light feels warm," Jake said, his eyes wide with wonder. "Doesn't it?" Evelyn stepped forward cautiously. "It's different. There's something here." She moved closer to one of the walls, tracing a spiral pattern with her fingers. "What if it's a gateway, a way to confront whatever is hunting us?" Amelia felt a spark of courage ignite within her. What if this place has answers? What if it can help us understand what's going on? Jake's grip on Amelia's arm loosened a little. His curiosity was evident, but the fear still lingered in his eyes. But what if we're just walking into a bigger trap? They stood frozen in uncertainty, but the pulsing light seemed to beckon them further. Each pulse felt like it was synchronized with their heartbeats, leading them deeper into the chamber. Suddenly, a sound broke the fragile silence, a faint whisper, like the rustling of leaves, but it carried an unmistakable urgency. "Help! Help!" It seeped from the walls, wrapping around Amelia like a chilling breeze. "They're asking for help," Evelyn whispered, her eyes wide with concern. "Who?" Jake said, his brows furrowing. "Who are we hearing?" "Maybe the cave itself has a story. Maybe it wants to share it with us," Amelia replied, her voice filled with determination. There was warmth in that light, a promise of something more profound than mere survival. "We need to listen." "Amelia," Jake tugged at her sleeve, "we don't know what risks we might be taking." The whispers turned softer, almost pleading, and Amelia felt her resolve waver. She found a strange comfort in the whispers. Idea of reaching out to whoever or whatever was trapped here. With a deep breath, she stepped forward, heart racing. "We're here to help. Show us what you need." The words felt heavy but liberating. The light flickered, and for a moment, the spiral symbols began to glow more intensely, illuminating the chamber. Was it responding? Amelia dared to hope. As the shimmering light brightened, shadows twisted around the edges of the chamber, sighing like old souls awakening. The symbols pulsed in time with her heart, and Amelia couldn't help but feel that the cave was alive, holding its breath, waiting for them to uncover the truth. Then, just as suddenly, the light dimmed. The whispers faded to silence, replaced by a deeper darkness creeping back in. A sick feeling twisted in Amelia's stomach. "What just happened?" she breathed, glancing over at Evelyn and Jake. They shared her fear, eyes darting to where the light had dimmed. Did we break something?" Jake asked, the apprehension in his voice echoing her own worry. "We need to find out," Evelyn said firmly, her earlier courage returning. With that, the trio stepped deeper into the chamber, not knowing that the very symbols meant to protect them might unravel a past that was better left buried. Was the cave a sanctuary or a tomb? And what awaited them deeper inside its enigmatic heart? As they ventured further into the cavern, the air thickened, and a sense of anticipation gripped them. The walls whispered secrets, and their glow shifted, beckoning them onward. Amelia led with cautious steps, determined to shield Jake and Evelyn from whatever lay ahead. The darkness behind them faded, yet she could feel its presence, a haunting specter they could not escape. "Stay together," she urged, her voice a steady anchor amid the overwhelming darkness. Jake clung to her side, his face a mixture of fear and fascination, while Evelyn's sharp gaze scanned their surroundings, eager to uncover the mysteries entwined in this sanctuary. And suddenly, the trio found themselves facing a vast wall adorned with the symbols they had already seen, each marked eye glistening like a constellation, watching them intently. "Why do they look so familiar?" Jake whispered, stepping closer to the wall. "It's as if they know us." Amelia felt a chill run down her spine. "What if they're connected to us in some way?" she replied, trying to suppress her unease. She reached out, her fingers brushing against the cool stone, and an unexpected warmth surged through her. Shadows danced around them, swirling in rhythm with the pulsing light. As Amelia leaned closer, her heartbeat echoed in her ears. "What are we supposed to do?" The question hung in the air. But just then, the ground beneath them rumbled again, this time more violently. A tremor shook the stone, and in that moment, the whispers returned, this time louder, more insistent. "Help us! Release us! Free us!" It was a haunting chorus that pulsed through the chamber like a living entity. Amelia's heart raced. "They're trapped!" she gasped.
"We have to help them!" Jake stepped forward hesitantly, his youthful face lined with determination. "What do we need to do?" Evelyn's eyes lit up with a blend of fear and determination. "We have to find a way to break whatever binds them. Maybe one of these symbols holds the key." At that moment, Amelia noticed a distinct pattern among the symbols that resonated with her memories of warmth, of community, and of helping one another. "Look, these ones," she said, pointing. "They're all connected in a circle. Maybe they represent connection, family, friendship, hope." Jake took a step toward the symbol at the center. "We have to activate it somehow, maybe by placing our hands on it?" Together, they gathered before the circle, exchanging nervous glances. "On 3, Amelia instructed, feeling their anxiety blend with excitement. 1, 2, 3. They placed their hands on the cool stone, and the moment their skin touched, a shockwave of energy surged through them. The light exploded in a brilliant display, illuminating the cave with a blinding glow. They gasped, and for a moment, every shadow retreated, dispelled by the brightness. The voices intensified, a multitude reverberating off the walls. "Thank you, thank you." As the light engulfed them, the symbols merged and began to spin, the air thickening with emotion. All at once, memories flooded back, laughter shared over family dinners, whispers of secrets told in the dark, moments of courage in the face of hardship. They had all faced challenges, yet what bound them was love, a love that could conquer the darkest shadows. Tears streamed down Amelia's face, drowning her with the realization of their strength. "This is our power," she breathed. "Together!" The cavern surged with energy, and Amelia sensed the flickering shadows receding, releasing their hold. The binding that kept the lost ones trapped was breaking, unraveling like threads of an old tapestry. And then there was silence. As the brightness faded, they stood panting, blinking against the dimmed glow, feeling an overwhelming sense of peace wash over them. The symbols around them faded to a gentle shimmer, and the air lightened with hope. "We did it," Jake whispered in awe, glancing at the glowing symbols around them. "We actually freed them." Evelyn stepped forward cautiously, her emotions painted across her features. "But what does this mean for us? Are we safe now?" Just then, the symbols began to pulse softly, a rhythm that felt like a heartbeat. The whispers from before returned, but now they were different, gentler, filled with gratitude. "Remember us. Remember." Amelia exchanged glances with Jake and Evelyn. "This is an invitation," she said, her voice steady. "We are meant to carry this strength and love back to our community. We have to share it." As they turned toward the cave's exit, a new light began to fill the tunnel ahead, a warmth that felt like home. With every step, they felt the shadows lifting, the darkness banished by their united spirit. Stepping out, they were welcomed by the soft light of dawn breaking over the horizon. The town below felt alive again, shadows chased away. Not by force, but by the bond they nurtured and believed in. "Together," Amelia said, gripping both Jake and Evelyn's hands tightly. "We change things for the better." They descended into Maplewood, carrying with them a light that would ignite connection, compassion, and healing throughout their community. No longer divided by fear, but stronger together as the family they had always been. Now was the moment to embrace their past and illuminate the future, creating new memories etched in warmth and light. And just as they stepped forward, Amelia felt her heart swell with joy. In the rich tapestry of life, they were bound by threads of love. It forged an unbreakable bond that would weather all storms. As they walked toward the rising sun, a chorus of laughter erupted from the diner, where once she had felt the weight of isolation. There, surrounded by familiar faces, she felt her spirit soar, and a radiant smile lit up her face. They had faced darkness and emerged stronger. This was only the beginning. Don't wait a moment longer. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on more incredible transformations. Leave a like now to fuel the algorithm and keep stories like this alive. Comment down below about your reactions and feelings on this heartwarming ending. We want to hear you. And share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who could use a dose of hope and togetherness. Remember, you need to support the channel. This is the moment to show you care.